Carl Jung said, "Awaken and shine your light for others to follow. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This is an invitation to move differently in the world, to operate from a place of deep knowing and alignment. I'm Adrienne McDonald, and welcome to the Source Code Podcast. Let's dive in. Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back. Today is the last day of February, and we're going to dive into March's energy mix. Now, March is a month of retrogrades and breakthroughs and reviews and bold shifts, and it is probably one of the most active months in astrology for 2025. This is a big one. We've got a Venus retrograde, we've got a Mercury retrograde, and we have Neptune moving into Aries. And for me personally, March is always a big month because it's my birthday month. It's all the way towards the end, but I like celebrating the entire month. So in this episode, we're going to explore the significance of retrogrades. We're going to touch on the Venus retrograde. We're going to talk about the human design transits of the month. We're going to talk about insights for each human design type, our profile. We'll see when we get there. Reflective questions to help you integrate these lessons, and maybe we'll throw in some mantras. So let's get comfortable, grab yourself a beverage, and let's dive in. So let's talk about retrogrades first. And the reason why I am bringing them up is, although we go through the gates at about the same time every year, the human design gates, the flavor in which we experience the energy changes with the what's going on astrologically speaking. And as I said, March is a big month for 2025, and retrogrades are not really a time to fear. I know they get a bad rap, but they're not about things going wrong. They're about slowing down and reassessing. They're like an energy cleansing of a sort. Think of it this way. You're driving down the highway of life at full speed, and suddenly the universe throws up a detour ahead sign. This isn't really a roadblock as much as it is a reroute to something that needs your attention. And this month we have a Venus retrograde. I think it starts March 1st, which is all about deep review of relationships and self-worth, and possibly financial stuff, money. What do you truly value? And then we have our favorite. Now, Venus retrogrades only happen about 18 months, every 18 months. Mercury retrograde, which I think is March 14th to April 7th, it's like a mental reset. So old conversations resurface, miscommunication happens. Everybody knows the memes on the social media about Mercury. Mercury's in retrograde? No, Mercury's in Gatorade. Those types of things. But it's a message to slow down and really think about your communication. So then we have Neptune entering Aries on March 30th. Now, this is a massive shift that just takes years and years and years. I think it's for every 14 years or something like that. The outer planets don't switch signs very often. So this is a big deal. And we're moving from, Neptune's very dreamy, passive dreamy, to like ready to take bold action. And I'll probably say more about that towards the end of the month in a future podcast, but this energy is building and is very, very different for us. So the main thing, we know about the Mercury retrogrades because they happen I think it's 4 times a year, but Venus retrograde in Aries is what I think the big news is on how it's going to affect how we experience the human design sun transits. Venus retrograde in Aries is about assertiveness in all things love, beauty, money, and values. When she goes retrograde, we're asked to assess how we give, how we receive love, how we handle money, whether we're truly honoring our self-worth. If we're staying true to those values. In Aries, Venus wants us to step into confidence, take up space, and stop seeking external validation. And here are a few ways of how that can show up. Exes or past patterns might resurface, especially when we pair this up with a Mercury retrograde. This isn't really meant to rekindle romances. This is more about bringing closure or clarity. And this is also to patterns, right? It's all about the closure and clarity to patterns that may not serve you well or align with your values. You may rethink financial decisions or your investments aligned with what your true values are. You may feel called to set firmer boundaries. Where are you? You feel like you're over giving, or there's not a reciprocal thing going on in the relationship. And most importantly, are you actively choosing yourself, or are you waiting for permission? So let's dive into each of the human design transits for the month. And remember, when I talk about these, I'm talking specifically about the sun transit, which is the background frequency of the collective during the time that it's in the sky. So we start off on March 2nd with gate 63, which is the gate of doubt. And we go to, I think it's the 7th. And this is all about, mental clarity or endless loops. This is the gate that's all about mental pressure, the kind that can drive innovation and discovery and deeper wisdom, but also the kind that can trap us in a loop of never feeling certain. And doubt is a natural function of the mind. It questions, it probes, it seeks clarity, but there is a fine line between having healthy skepticism and self-sabotaging through overthinking. Now, this is my personality, Mercury, so I am really, really in touch with this energy. I think I've talked about it in the past. A real practical lesson is when this energy is being activated in the collective, to be mindful where you're second-guessing yourself unnecessarily, because not every doubt needs to be entertained. And a key question the first week of March is where can I trust my intuition more than getting lost in analysis? Because you may feel the pressure to do that a little more. And then on the 8th, we move into gate 22, which is the gate of openness. And this is all about mastering emotional influence. This is one of the most powerful emotionally powerful gates in the human design system. I feel like it's about this emotional alchemy. It teaches us that grace is a frequency that we can choose, even when circumstances may be chaotic around us. When we live in the shadow of this gate, we get very reactive. We become trapped in emotional waves. We start making decisions based on temporary feelings rather than coming to a place from our authority, our deeper wisdom. And a practical lesson during this time is your emotions are a weather system. They're not the ultimate truth. They're not your intuition necessarily. Let them move through you rather than dictate every single response. The default this week is to really be mindful of you're making decisions from your place of your strategy and authority. And a key question is, am I responding from my intuition? Am I responding from my strategy and authority, or am I just reacting? So March 14th, we move into gate 36. And we stay there till, I think, the 18th, the Gate of Crisis. And this is all about transmuting fear into growth. Now, we all have times in our lives where we feel like we're going through a crisis. Gate 36 holds a lot of intense emotional energy in the human design chart. It's a place where we learn through experience, and it's often through discomfort. People with this gate are often thrown into situations that require them to face the unknown head-on quite often. And it's about breaking past the fears of emotional pain and uncertainty into failure and trusting. This week is about paying attention where you're avoiding discomfort, because that's likely where your next breakthrough is often hiding. It's in that area where you are resisting the most. And a key question is, am I allowing myself to move through the discomfort, or am I shutting down, or am I avoiding, or am I distracting? So then on the 19th, we move into Gate 25. And this gate is the spirit of the self. This is about unconditional love and surrender. This gate is about the purity of the heart, a return to love without condition, a love without expectations, but also acknowledging that being in that state, true love isn't always easy. It is not about forcing yourself to be positive. It's about learning how to stay open, even through the challenges. And the lesson for this week is notice where you're withholding love, whether that be for others, but especially where you're withholding it for yourself, because your true power is keeping your heart open. And fundamentally, I think this is the lesson of trust, right? It's the how can I surrender and trust life more. So then we move into the 17th, I think on the 26th. This one is my personality sun, so I know this energy intimately. Gate 17 is called the Gate of the Powerful Opinion, and it's about seeing the bigger picture. It's about perspective. It's about the ability to see patterns and predict what's coming and communicate insight. But in the shadow of it, it can become very rigid opinions, very judgmental, have a very strong need to be right. If you've been listening for a while, I've talked about the challenges I've had over the years with the strong need to be right. And the practical lesson is, are you open to having a different perspective or a new perspective? Are you open to being curious? Or are you stuck in thinking the same way all the time? And a key question is, where can I soften my attachment to being right and focus on seeing the bigger picture or a different perspective? I think both with the 63 and the 17, I've learned that curiosity is really a very, very powerful thing to embody. And I definitely think that has influenced why I value it so much, because you can't be curious and hold judgment at the same time. And then we round out the month on the last day, entering into Gate 21, which is the Gate of Rationalization. It's about surrendering control. And this is, at its highest, Gate 21 is about true authority, understanding what is yours to control and what is not. But when it's in the shadow, it can show up as manipulation, over controlling tendencies, and a real fear of surrendering. And the practical lesson for the 21 is you gotta notice where you're gripping too tightly. And true power doesn't force, it trusts. So what am I trying to control that I actually need to release? I'll probably go into that one again in April as it's transiting through when the months change. So let's go into each of the profiles and talk a little bit about some of the wisdom and themes that you might see. So our 1-3s, your March lesson is you love to build a strong foundation before taking action, but this month isn't about certainty. There's going to be a lot of emotional waves this month. This is about refining what you already know through experience. Now, the Venus retrograde might challenge how you see yourself in relationships, and the Mercury retrograde may ask you to release outdated mental frameworks. Like, I thought I had this research and I thought it meant this to me, but actually, no, I feel like it doesn't anymore. And, it's okay to ask questions, but be mindful of that overthinking to the point of stagnation. And not every mistake is a failure, and it is an experiment that leads to mastery. So, and your March mantra might be, I trust that every experience is refining my wisdom. So 1-4s, your March lesson is about turning knowledge into stability. That's your natural gift. But this month you are being asked to review where your foundations need reinforcing. Venus retrograde may highlight areas in relationships or finances where you've relied too much on that external security rather than that inner authority. You need to be willing to soften your stance and receive wisdom from unexpected places, because this is going to be an unexpected aha moment month for everyone. So, do your beliefs support your evolution, or are they getting you stuck? And a March mantra might be, I allow my foundation to evolve, knowing that true security only comes from within. My 2-4s, your March lesson, you thrive in a balance of solitude and relationships, but Venus retrograde may have you questioning who you allow into your world. Are your closest connections nourishing your growth, or are they keeping you in old cycles? And discomfort isn't a sign that you're failing, it's a sign that you're evolving. And where do you justify staying in relationships and jobs or patterns that no longer serve you? And your March mantra might be, I honor both my need for solitude and my need for deep, meaningful connection. My 2-5s. March lesson. You carry deep wisdom, but not everybody is ready to receive it. Venus retrograde may really highlight the imbalanced relationships where you're giving too much. And Mercury retrograde might ask you to pause before offering guidance, especially during Mercury retrograde. People may take things the wrong way. And to remember that true power is found in letting go and trusting the divine timing of others' journeys. This is not yours to control. And where are you trying to take the lead when you should be surrendering? And your March mantra, I release the need to fix and trust the process. 3-5s, my fellow 3-5s out there. March is a month of lessons through experience. Well, every month is that for us. But the Mercury retrograde will bring up past patterns that need refinement, always. And Venus retrograde will ask you to redefine your worth based on your standards. Like, I personally have a lot of planetary placements in my astrological natal chart in Pisces and Aries, and I fully expect not to be the same person after these retrogrades and after all the other astrological stuff that's happening in March. So if you're like me, you just got to ride the wave. Don't fear making the wrong choice stop you from taking the next step. Be kind to yourself in this learning process. I trust that every challenge is shaping me into a wiser leader. Because remember, the 5s is all about going out and giving practical solutions for people. 3-6s. you're in a constant cycle of learning mastery. Now, March is going to test your ability to trust the unfolding of your own journey without rushing to the next phase, especially if you're over 50. So, every hardship is an invitation to greater wisdom. And are you allowing your experiences to shape you? Are you judging them as wrong? Are you being avoidant of the lessons and the wisdom that you're here to learn? And your March mantra is, I embrace every stage of my journey, knowing that mastery takes time, and it does. 4 6s, relationships will be under review this month. Who is genuinely, really supporting your vision? And who is keeping you stuck? Who's helped keeping you stuck in an outdated version of yourself? Are you staying open to new opportunities, new relationships, maybe new collaborations? Are you resisting change because you're like, no, I feel obligated to stay in this thing here that's not serving me anymore? And sometimes the best way to lead is to trust and let go. So your March mantra, I surround myself with people who inspire and motivate my highest potential. 4 1s. Venus retrograde may highlight shaky foundations in your relationships or your business partnerships. Mercury retrograde will be bringing an opportunity to reassess past decisions, because these two together are going to put a big old spotlight on, is my circle the right circle for me? Or do I need to shake it up? You don't have to have it all figured out before you start making changes. But also some things require surrender instead of force. And your March mantra might be, I allow my foundation to evolve with trust and with grace. I think that a lot of people during the month of March are going to need to get in touch with that moment of grace as we navigate this month. 5 1s. This month is about redefining what leadership means to you. And the Venus retrograde is going to challenge your sense of worth in leadership roles. And the Mercury retrograde may ask you to communicate with greater clarity, really slow down and be much more mindful about what you're saying, to whom you're saying it to, and maybe even why you're saying it. Are you forcing a perspective, or are you really allowing your wisdom to evolve? And remember, true leadership doesn't control, it trusts. And the March mantra is, I trust my wisdom and I lead with clarity. And it's going to be really foggy this month for a lot of people around clarity. So just be mindful of that. 5 2s. The Venus retrograde may bring up relationships where you feel unseen. The Mercury retrograde is going to challenge you to speak your truth without over-explaining it or over-analyzing it before you try to explain it. And are you justifying relationships that no longer align? I think a lot of people are going to be going through that experience. And you got to realize that not everyone is going to understand your path. You got to trust it anyway. You've got 2 projected profile lines. So the expectations of others, you're always going to be feeling with them, but you got to carve your own path anyway. And March mantra is, I am seen and I am valued for who I truly am, and also who I am truly for. The 6 2s, you're stepping into a new level of wisdom. And I think the real lesson in March for you is, are you truly embodying what you teach? Are you holding yourself back because you don't feel ready to teach it? You've got to trust that you're already walking the path meant for you. And a March mantra might be, I trust my timing and allow my leadership to unfold naturally. Don't force it. 6-3, your March lesson is you've already learned so much from your past, and now it's time to stop looking back so much and move forward with trust. And your greatest wisdom comes from the experiences that you've overcome. And if you're still under the age of 50-ish or so, you've got a 3-3 going on, and this is all, it's just experimenting. It's just experimenting. This is time to see yourself through a different lens, regardless of where you are on your journey. And a March mantra might be, I embrace my past and I step forward with confidence and I trust. So reflective questions for everybody for March is, where am I being asked to slow down? Where am I being asked to reassess? What old patterns or relationships are surfacing? And what lesson do they bring? How can I step into a deeper level of self-worth and self-trust? This goes back to following and trying to decondition yourself. So again, if you don't have my human design deconditioning guide, I will put a link to that in the show notes. That is free. Where am I forcing control instead of allowing things to unfold naturally? And a mantra for March might be, I release what no longer serves me, I trust the process, I honor my self-worth, and I step into my power with clarity and with grace. So March isn't just another month. It really is a cosmic turning point. These retrogrades aren't here to hold you back. They're help you refine and reassess, and they're all about reclaiming your assertive self. This can, for some, feel like a rebirth of sorts. We've got the spring equinox, so this is the time of year that we're going to start feeling ready to go. But it is going to be intense. This is also the beginning of eclipse season as well, so be mindful. If this episode resonated, please share it with a friend or anyone that you feel like needs these insights. Remember, on Facebook and Instagram, I always post additional ways you can work with the energy whenever the gate changes. So whenever we get to a new gate, because I know it's hard to remember all of the transits throughout the month, follow me on Instagram or Facebook, put those notifications on, and when the gate changes, I always put a how you can work with this energy post up. And if you want to dive deeper, the Kairos sessions are open for March. Remember, there are a limited number of those per month, or you can schedule a human design reading, and those links are also in the show notes. And until next time, remember, trust yourself, embrace the shifts, remember to find beauty every day, and seek the magic in the mundane. Thank you for listening to the Source Code Podcast. If you found this episode insightful and feel moved to, please leave a review and share it out with those you believe will find it helpful. You can check out my website for more information at www.adrianmcdonald.com. And for more of my more regular musings, connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn. I hope you have a beautiful week.